Okay, so one of the things with vacuuming, which you're going to need to get your own vacuum obviously, but aside from regular thorough vacuuming, for this one it has an edge cleaner. So you'll want to find a way to always include the edges, because when you just vacuum the middle of the traffic areas, you're going to get is that if you can get as much dirt out as you can, it's going to make the whole carpet cleaning job easier, because most of the dirt that you're going to get out of a carpet when you go to clean it is going to come out in the vacuuming before you even spray anything. Okay, this is the spray tank dolly. It's got a 5-gallon container for your cleaning solution. That's the one here on your right, and on your left is the 20-pound CO2 aluminum cylinder. So real quick, we'll talk about that. It's going to run out. You're going to want to refill it going somewhere locally and swapping it out. You can say I've got an empty 20-pound CO2 cylinder that I need to exchange. Air Gas is one company that probably exists where you're at. It should cost you anywhere between 20 and 40 bucks for a refill. This is the regulator. You want to really protect it and take care of it. This shows the amount of pressure inside the tank. This shows the amount of pressure that's going to go through the hose and inside this tank. So the amount of pressure to use is between 60 and 80, whatever you're comfortable with. If this is your on-off, I would recommend to always turn off the bottle when you transport it. Here is how you depressurize this. There's a safety ring right here. You pull up on it and it's going to make a big noise. This is your in coupler, this is your out coupler. The way you release this is you push down with your thumb on the top, use your 2 side fingers to pull up on the ring. You might need 2 hands and it'll come up, okay? So it's a quick release, a lot like air compressor tools. The spray trigger assembly can be replaced when this breaks, because it will. The tip can go bad. This can break inside here. A plastic spray wand. So when you see something that looks like it, that's good. You don't have to use a round tip. You can use a T-jet tip, which is more like a line spray pattern, but this one shoots a cone-shaped spray. And you keep a filter so that dirt and stuff in there doesn't clog the tip. You'll need to constantly maintain that, clean it out. Managing your cords and your hoses on a job are really a way to keep it efficient. The rate of spray is about 200 square feet per gallon normally, but things can change. If you have a heavily soiled area, you might go more. But if you spray twice as much, like 100 square feet per gallon, you're going to have very wet carpet when you're done cleaning. So this is about a 10 by 10 box in this corner. Okay, it's a little off, but that's good for this example. If you look right away, you'll see some spotted areas. You can pre-spray those, and you'll just kind of point the tip down and shoot those real quick like that. Not too much. The thing that really you need to be careful of, above all else with spraying, don't get things wet that you're not going to clean. For example, furniture, walls, and other surfaces. One of the things to do is to really know which way you're pointing your tip, because it's a cone-shaped tip. Let's say I didn't want to get this wet at all. If I held it like this and sprayed, it's going to get wet, just like a wall would or a couch or whatever. So to avoid that, I'm going to want to take, and so you can see the way I kind of move my arm, and you see how the tip changes direction. That way when I spray, it's not going to hit that surface. Okay? So that's the idea. You see how close I have the tip to that surface, but it's not getting wet. You can tell because that's dry carpet there.
Yeah.
Okay? Same thing works with walls. So when I get close to a wall, I kind of point it back away from the wall. Do I need that square inch against the wall sprayed? Usually not. You're going to want to wag the wand a little bit. And watch what I do. See how I give it a little bit of a bounce? Because if I just go like this, that's okay, but the spray tip is an imperfect distribution. So if I wag it, it kind of mixes it up a little bit and makes sure that it covers. What I mean by imperfect is it'll spray heavier in one part of the cone and lighter in others, because it's a cheap tip. Now, what I've done in the area that I just finished behind me is about 200 square feet per gallon. It's just going to take practice and a sense of what you're doing. Now that I've sprayed this area, if I want to stay efficient with my time, I'm going to want to find something else to do, because this is not ready to be cleaned yet. Okay, how to lift a buffer. This machine is almost 100 pounds without a cord. So you're going to want to find a safe technique to lift. You want to lift with your legs and your arms and your back, not just your back. So don't grab it and go like this that would be a mistake, okay? The first thing I do is take off this so that all we have is the machine itself. No cords, no anything. Always get a hand under here, and I can either go overhand or underhand. I put my arm on the top of my leg. That saves my back. And then I bounce up, then I'm good, okay? All legs and arms, pretty much. Once it's here, for me, I'm big, it's easy, but for you, this could be really hard for you to do. You need to think about that with jobs that you might do. Stairs, it's two-story houses, things like that. You should really two-man lift this when you carry it upstairs. I go ahead and I do it, no big deal. Same thing, going down, I kind of brace and spot myself right there, get the wheels, and then I'm good. Okay, the most important thing to understand is the name and the model of this buffer, because it's so old it doesn't have it on there. This will help you if you need to order any parts. It's called an Advance Matador 17. A couple of parts to understand. This is the handle assembly, or the handle stock. It's got a design flaw, which is why if you want to come close and look around, you'll see this has been welded and re-welded many times to keep it working, but it's extremely durable. I've replaced parts and repaired as we go. One of the things to watch for, starting at the top, these handle grips will wear out after about maybe 400 hours worth of use. You want to replace them with just normal BMX bike grips that you get at the sporting goods store. Important safety tip. With all the time I've spent using this machine, only about 3 times this switch, or the micro switch, has inexplicably frozen up and not turned off. Okay, so if you come over here, it's hard to see, but the switch is on the other side. This is the micro switch, and the little, if you hear that click, that's what happens when you turn the machine on off. See, the handles twist. Bring your camera lower so you can point up. Handles twist inside, and to press that switch on the other side of this. When you let go, the switch turns off. Sometimes when you let go of these handles, the machine does not turn off. So the first thing to remember is when the machine doesn't turn off, don't panic, just continue cleaning while you get your wits about you. And then when you're in that position and the machine won't turn off, you're going to want to either ask for help or stabilize the machine. You can ask someone to unplug the machine from the wall if someone's nearby. If you're alone, reach down here and pull that right there, okay? Just unplug there. That's what you're going to do. And if it breaks, you can replace this. This is a normally open micro switch for the Advanced Matador buffer. They all come over here so you can see this. This is the safety button, okay? The machine turns on and off by twisting these handles forward. This puts a little pin inside the handle stock, or the grip, so that it doesn't turn on. So you can't do that, it's a safety. This is how you release the lock at the bottom of the handle to make it go up and down. You're going to want to find a good control spot that you're also comfortable with, that doesn't make your back sore. Down at the bottom of the handle, these bushings wear out, so if you want to look at these 2 bolts, one thing that I do sometimes, I just hand tighten the one on this machine. I bounce the handle up and down and just hand tighten it. You can get some wrench in there, but it'll work itself loose on this right side. The drive belt will need to be maintained, and it can wear out. Normally there's a protector plate here, but I took it off so I could get at this faster. You should be able to just keep things clear, because if it gets in there, it can wear it out. You can see there's some wear right here. That's worth noting. It's gonna need attention in probably a couple years. All right, this is called the pad driver. This is the clutch for the pad driver. And so in time, this will wear out. You'll need to replace the clutch. This pad driver, these bristles will get clogged with buffer part or pad parts, and you can just like watch a Netflix movie, get a little screwdriver and just work it and pick this stuff out. To lock it on, you got 3 spots. You'll just line it up with that and then twist it. So put it on. Once you feel it drop in, you're going to want to twist it till it locks. It comes off very easy. Okay, I call these buffer pads, but the industry calls them bonnets, cleaning bonnets. So if you need to replace them, I think these are 17-inch bonnets, so that you kind of have good control over it, not like this. Get your fingers under it. I'm basically doing this. And you're going to want to drop it, like lift it, get it flat, drop it like that. To set the machine on it, you basically have to practice this. I can't tell you any other way to do it. You'll go like this, it'll be wobbly, and it'll look like this. That's wrong. Okay? So You'll want to practice centering it, and you'll get really good at it pretty quick. Just figure out how to line it up. Once it's there, I kind of push it forward too far like this and line it up to make sure it's down flat. When you start it, I said index finger, you're gonna use your thumb, you're gonna push it in, and you're gonna start to twist with your right hand forward. When it goes forward, it'll go on. And that's it. Now, you'll want to, if you do it wrong, if you're relaxing too much, it's gonna do this. And that's dangerous. If you're lifting too high when you turn it on, same thing. Because when you raise the handles, it goes to the right. When you lower the handles, it goes to the left. So I'm not moving that around with my muscle. All I'm doing is pulling up and down on the handles. I'm just making that shoot around. Okay, so you want to use the front of your thighs on a lot of this, okay? I just rest it like this. I'm going one-handed. I've got it locked in on my thigh. And it wants to drive backwards and to the left when you relax your grip. So use that power to your advantage so you don't get worn out doing this. Let itself drive itself back into your thigh and work itself to the left. And you're just going to want to move it around the carpet. And right now what I'm doing is I'm working that solution that we sprayed and buffing it out. I'm overlapping every square inch so that I can be really thorough. So you can see that I'm only moving about maybe 8 inches to the next row. Now, you want to be careful and not get the machine near cords, hoses, walls, other hazards like nails that stick out of the floor, nails that stick out of a wall, because these loops in this pad can get caught and can smash the machine into whatever it gets caught on. So when I get close to the wall, I just want to really re-emphasize, this machine's just sitting on my thigh. As a matter of fact, I can lock it in and with no hands. I mean, when you do it right, it just sits there. So really get used to wearing your pants out right here. If you look in my closet, and all my work pants have like worn out fabric there. So it's going to sit there, and that way you can kind of like, if you get used to that one-handed operation, you can kind of move things around as you need to. Sometimes you'll have windows with drapes. You don't need to get all the way, you don't need to move when time off. Just kind of figure out a way to get in here with your arm, reach the drapes, pull them back like this, and guide it. That's more advanced stuff. But for basic operation, you already have everything you need to know in this video. If you recall, there were 2 really dirty soiled spots right where the machine is. I pre-sprayed those heavily. I don't like the way they've turned out. They need more work. So I've gone over this entire area, and it's finished, but I want to do more. So real quick, I'm just going to spray again where it needs it. It might not show up that well in the camera, but I know where they are. I can see it. Maybe a little here. So you want to inspect your work. Say, well, did I do a good job? Does it need more? Was that pad really dirty? I'm going to flip the pad over. I forgot. So here's how often you switch the pad, now that I think about it. Basically 1 pad per box this size. So a pad per 100 feet, maybe a little bit more if it's not that dirty. So I've gone over this whole area with 1/2, but it's a 2-sided pad. So I'm going to flip it over. I want to show you the difference. This is the clean side. That's the dirty side. Sometimes you'll do jobs where after you're done, you can't tell if the pads have been used or not because there wasn't much dirt in the carpet. Commercial jobs like this, definitely. And really what that is that's oil and dirt. So I'm lining it up. I don't like where I put it, so I'm going to try again. Alright, that'll be great. Now, I don't need to do the whole square. I'm just going to work on the areas that need more work. Now, another tip. This time I'm going to get the machine on my left or on my right thigh, and I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to drive the handle down into my leg. So you can't really tell, but I'm trying to force the right side of the buffer, and from the camera's view it looks like the left side, but force that in. See how now it's not even anymore? I'm lifting the left side off the ground. It's basically just grinding the machine down into that carpet. So the basic idea of that is it's called the 5-to-1 method. So as I come around counterclockwise and I get to 5 o'clock, I'm going to grind that pad into the carpet between 5 and 1. So I push down, and I let go. And I push down and let go. Okay, a couple of things with customers and how you'll deal with them. If you intend to make this into a legitimate business where you're soliciting work, setting up jobs, you're going to want to make sure you do everything right. So check the laws in your area, get your liability insurance for your business, get your DBA, register and get a business license and all that stuff. But if you're just helping people from your neighborhood and they know you and they want you to help them, it is legitimate and legal to just help them, same as if they paid you 20 bucks to mow their lawn. So the thing to remember, because you're not operating as a legitimate business, otherwise you don't have protection for yourself if you damage their stuff. So you want to protect yourself by being really careful. And if there's something where they say this piano is an antique and it's irreplaceable, and just explain to them, then the best thing to do is for us to stay away from the piano. So we're going to go around that. We're not going to touch it. We're not going to get close to it or anything like that. So other than that, always act like there's a hidden camera in every room that you're cleaning in. That's a good way to make sure that you're on your best behavior at all times. I would also say that you really want to be careful not to bite off more than you can chew. When you're eager to help someone, you might see a really dirty area or a stained area and say, okay, no problem. Make sure you're honest in what you think. If you don't think it's going to turn out well, explain that to them and ask them what their expectation is if you think that it's not going to match. Because every time I've had a problem with a customer over the years, it's because their expectations are here, whether it's price, value, or finished result or whatever, and what I delivered was here. So you need to make sure they understand what you can deliver to make their expectations match that, or you shouldn't do the job. We call it a carpet brush or a grooming tool. It is the last thing you do as you finish the job of carpet. So you'll want to do this within 20 minutes of finishing an area, because once the carpet starts to dry, you're not going to have a good result. The wet carpet actually, just like working with your hair after a shower, it's easier to comb and groom when it's wet. So this carpet does not need to be brushed. So some carpets don't. A flat industrial carpet like this, an office carpet, something you'd see at church or in a school, you don't brush it. But if you can see swirl marks from your machine in the carpet you cleaned, you want to brush it. And all you do is go back and forth. Make sure every square inch of carpet that you clean gets brushed at least in one direction and hopefully two. One direction means maybe this way, two is this way. Okay, so what you can do is when you're doing a bunch of carpet, just create a zigzag technique. Okay, you're going to use that type of motion. And if you don't like the way it looks with the triangles that show up, you can finish by just doing a pull technique. Now, aside from making the carpet look good with the brush, the real trick is this forces you to inspect the square footage again as you finish the job to make sure you like the way it looks. If you just buff and leave, you may miss something, because sometimes the buffer can hide things. Alright, just a quick overview of the parts of the tile machine. Basically, the short lesson on how to do it is you spray the tile cleaner in the grout lines, soak the grout, let it sit at least 10 minutes. If it's really dirty, you'll use this brush to scrub inside the grout lines. It's got a pivot head, so it's very effective. You'll basically just go like that, especially on the edges, in the corners, behind the toilet. When you're ready, the machine, this is called a spinner, the machine will spray, spin, and suck high pressure water. Okay, so basically underneath you got a tool that turns around that is propelled by water pressure. Okay, it's spraying like car wash jet pressure, but it's not getting anywhere. It's staying underneath the hood. These fittings need to be maintained. You want to clean them and shoot them with a little bit of lubricant, not too heavy. Once in a while, maybe every 10 uses or so. The vacuum hose plugs in here. The other machine that you can use is the 7-inch hand spinner. Same idea. I've found over the years that this is actually more effective. It's just more labor. Smaller tool seems to clean better. This is basically a hands and knees type of tool. You can get behind toilets. You can get, when you're doing detail work around cabinets and you don't want to, this has a lower clearance. So if you want to get underneath the cabinet and that won't fit, this is really good. I'll give you a quick rundown of how to maintain this. 2 vacuum motors. This is your pump unit. And you've got other stuff in here to worry about. Basically, the thing you want to watch out for, I had to rebuild the pump head. I've replaced 2 vacuums. Your vacuums will go out when they get too much water going through it. So yeah, CleanRite will send you specs and give you training support on how to maintain this. You just need to contact them. That's KLEENRITE. Okay, this is the vacuum waste tank. You're constantly going to be in here because when foam's created, you're going to need to manage the float switch. This doesn't work as good as I would like, but when this floats up, it turns the pump on. The pump drains the dirty water out into the toilet. Huh? No, it doesn't matter. We're just talking. I mean, I could do this without showing you guys anything. All right, so filter that has a float shut off. There we go. Okay, this thing, you can pull this off and reclean it. Inside is a little ball that floats. So when the level of the water gets too high, this ball will get sucked up into the aperture there, and then it won't suck up any water into the vacuum. What happens though is when there's too much foam, the ball doesn't move up like it should. So you're going to want to use the foamer a lot. Let me get some and show you. 2 ounces of this into a gallon of water, okay? And this will, you just dump it right in the bottom of the tank like 2 times through the job. It'll cut down the foam a little bit. So you've got so much power demand on the machine. You got 2 different cords. You'll want to plug into 2 different circuits in the house. That's why we've done this. So 2 vacuum motors run here. Pump and the auto discharge run here. So you plug those in. You'll hook this up right here. Okay. Same thing, fitting like what's on there. Just like that. It's a quick release. That's going to shoot your water pressure to the tool. So at the other end, you can plug this in here. Now, one quick tip. When you're pressurized, you've got to turn off this, then shoot the trigger to depressurize, because when you unhook it, you won't be able to hook it back up because there'll be too much pressure. It won't push those balls back. So they have this cool little valve that you can just jimmy rig something, and you can maybe get some of these pieces and create a hand shut-off valve so that you don't have to do that part. But anyway, you hook it on there. You hook the vacuum hose. Vacuum hose goes in here. I'm sorry, in the head. Let me put the lid back on. Okay. So you'll have, I'm giving you a bunch of these hoses too. So you decide what you like. This is just a coupler for a longer hose. This goes in here. So there's your vacuum, okay? That goes back to the tool. Now, this is your pump out hose, okay? This is a lot like an RV sewage connector, okay? You hook it in right here, like this, and run the other end into where you want to pump it to. It is against the law to pump this machine into the storm drain system of your city, so you can't do it to the gutter. I do it into a toilet, but on this end, make sure that you get this nice down and up into the trap area at the bottom of the bowl. Put the lid down, weigh it down, because it is your worst nightmare when this thing comes loose on the floor and the machine pumps it out and you're not around to notice that you're flooding the floor with dirty water in the bathroom. So make sure this stays in the toilet. Okay, the other hose, this is just your garden hose for your water source. Okay, so you screw it into a garden hose. We don't use hot water, just tepid water is fine. This is your other end. This needs to be maintained also, all these fittings. It goes right here, like that. So basically that's what you're gonna have. That's how you run the machine. Couple more parts you need to know about. This is your pressure control for the bypass. This is what controls how much pressure the pump cuts on and cuts off at. But it basically detects that you're not spraying, and so it kind of kicks off the pressure and lightens it up. It's like a bypass function. So vacuum 1, vacuum 2, I'm not going to turn anything on. Pump, this stays on when you're ready to clean. That's the discharge that pumps the dirty water out.